Hammersmith, a bustling neighbourhood in the centre of London. Many Poles live and work here. And since Britain's vote to leave the EU, the area has seen a rise in xenophobic attacks. Shortly after the referendum, English extremists stormed this Polish deli, insulted the owners, Mirek and Isabella, and told them to leave the country. The British pound has also lost value, which means it's now more expensive for this shop to import gherkins and other delicacies from Poland. But Isabella says what hurts most is the atmosphere since the June 23rd poll.
At the moment, it's not very pleasant to be here. We just feel like, the British don't want us, and it's a weird situation. And other side, everyone is scared. Yeah, well, it was a funny situation because, you think we had I've got some customers who's like, kind of posh. It's like, no, we want to leave the European Union because, we don't want the migrants here and blah, 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 blah. But then a few minutes later, it's like, yeah, I've got the Polish cleaner, I've got the Polish, someone who's looking after my kids, and I've got this, it's like, so if you don't want us here, who's gonna do the things for you, It's just, come on, it's a common sense.
Isabella says she will not apply for a British passport. If things get worse, maybe she'll move elsewhere in the EU or even return to Poland.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
The best pickled gherkins I've ever eaten, imported directly from Poland. I wonder what the 800,000 Poles living in the UK will do after Brexit. I'll ask around.
When Poland joined the EU in 2004, Britain did what most other member states wouldn't do. It immediately opened its borders without restriction to these new migrants. Since then, the number of Poles in the UK has risen eightfold. Monika Nawrot, a Polish office manager, came here in 2005. She lives in Lewisham, a diverse neighbourhood in southeast London, and she wants a British passport as soon as possible. But how do you become British? Monika studies the codes with an official textbook filled with questions about the nation's history and culture.
The Brexit situation makes me worry a little bit because of the uncertainty what's going to happen. Am I allowed to stay? I've got a mortgage, what's going to happen to that? Will they force me to sell the flat and go off back? I really don't know.
Uncertainty, the driving force behind the rise in passport applications since the Brexit vote. But to become British, you need to dig deep into your archives. Monika spends her weekends looking for the paperwork that can prove she's lived here without interruption for the past 5 years.
I'll have to go back to all of my trips I've taken over the last 5 years, so I have to write down all of the dates exactly. When I went on holiday to Spain, Italy, wherever. So I need to have exact dates, not only months. So I need to go do that. So I need to write down, go back, remember those dates. Then obviously I'll have to find all of my P60s, payslips, whatever will be required, maybe confirmations of job contracts.
We meet up with Paweł Wargan, a London-based lawyer with Polish roots.
Nice to meet you. Have a seat.
The day after the Brexit referendum, he set up a helpline in 8 languages. Europeans living in Britain can report hate crimes and seek advice on their legal status. His key message, don't worry, but stay informed.
Theresa May is quite keen to retain the possibility of ending free movement, at least to strengthen her bargaining position with the European Union. So that's created a lot of uncertainty. I wish I could go to a family living here now and say, look, you've been here for 10 years, you'll definitely be allowed to stay. And I think ultimately that's what will happen. Because you have to remember there are about 1 million Britons living around the European Union, and they're going to want reciprocal rights. And I think it's in the interest of both the European Union and Britain to secure those rights. But I can't say that with absolute confidence.
Brexit is not only frightening for Poles and other Europeans who've made a life for themselves here. It worries a lot of Britons too. People like Frances Shipsey, who works in a university library in London. She was born in the UK and always had a British passport. Her husband Martin is from Scotland, which voted against Brexit. Now Frances is banking on her Irish roots to get herself and their daughter Fiona a second citizenship and keep the benefits of being part of the EU.
A lot of my friends said that they had planned to live and study in Europe for a year, but now they're kind of having to reconsider that because it might be too expensive or too difficult or anything like that.
So we've got all our European health insurance cards up to date to take on holiday with us, and luckily we've still got them because we're still in the EU, but that's one of the things, one of the practical reasons I want to go for an Irish passport, so that I can stay part of the European Union and continue to have the benefits of the European passport.
If Scotland were to break away from the UK as a result of Brexit, the Shipsey family could go from having 1 to 3 citizenships in total: British, Scottish and Irish.
I've been talking with my friends quite a lot at school about the whole Brexit situation, and all of my friends are really, really annoyed about it. We recognise that we really do rely on the EU and the rest of Europe, and we don't want any ties or connections to be broken.
So I had a look at the Irish Embassy website to see about getting Irish passports. You know, we were talking about it. Yeah. And I discovered I'm an Irish citizen, and so I can have a passport. Yeah. You are also eligible because of your grandparents and if I have one.
I mean, I don't really feel Irish. I've only ever been to Ireland, I think, once in my life, and but I've always kind of considered myself a Londoner. But it's nice to have the kind of relation to you and to my grandparents as a reassurance that I can, remain an EU citizen if I get an Irish passport, which hopefully I will.
We head south to France.
Ice cream. The sunny south. The dream. Quite a number of Brits are living here in France. What's going to happen to them now after Brexit? Will they become French? I'll ask.
In the beautiful city of Lyon, we meet Dave. He's the owner of the most English pub in town. And yet he's made up his mind. He's applying for a French passport. Here at home, he's about to finish filling up naturalization application forms. As a British entrepreneur living in France for years, paying taxes here and wanting to have a say, he'd considered applying for French citizenship even before the Brexit vote, but never got to it until now.
How the Brexit actually is impacting you and your life.
The result of Brexit was the moment I decided to let's get the paperwork together, let's make up the dossier and see what happens. I'm also has consequences for my 3 children. My wife is also British, also considering the same request. And the advantages are just to continue to have my business in France without the fear, really, of the unknown.
The Smoking Dog is somewhat of an institution in Lyon, where British expats meet up for pints and pub quiz nights. Here, Brexit is often on people's minds, and many say they'll apply for a French passport. Unlike most British voters, they don't want to say goodbye to the EU just yet.